Hello children, today we are going to the next part. Last class we have learnt about menstrual cycle, and today we are going with the next part of this sexual reproduction, that is fertilization and implantation. So first part is the fertilization. What is the meaning or the definition of fertilization? It is the fusion of the male gamete with the female gamete to form zygote. And how this, what are the female gametes are egg or ova, and the male gametes are the sperms. Where are the male gametes present? It is in the fluid, that is the semen. Semen is the seminal plasma with the sperms. So how they reach the egg? This process, first we should know about another term here, that is insemination. Insemination, children, it is the release of semen into the vagina through penis. All these terms, you know, children, that is the penis is the external genitalia, and the semen is containing the fluid with the sperms, and the semen is released into vagina of the female reproductive part during a copulation or coitus. So now the sperms have reached the vagina. So along with the semen, the fluid. So now you know that the structure of the sperm is having a long tail. All these sperms will be moving from the vagina. Next, upper part of the vagina, we know that is cervix, and through the cervix it enters the uterus, and from uterus it will move towards the oviduct. Oviduct, the end part which is very close to the uterus, is the isthmus, and after that, next to that is the ampulla. So in between these two ducts, where they are joining these two parts, ampulla and isthmus, in this junction the sperms will reach. Now let us see what happens to the ovum. The ovary is the one where it is ova are formed. So the ovum will be released into the will be collected by the fimbriae. Children, we learnt about the first part of the oviduct or the fallopian tube contains the fimbriae. The next it will be infundibulum. So the egg will be trapped by the fimbriae, and it will move through the infundibulum to the ampulla. Then it will reach the ampullary isthmic junction of the fallopian tube. So here the sperms are already reached there, and the egg is also reached simultaneously. Then the egg and the sperm will fuse to form where the fertilization will take place. So children, you should know the place where the fertilization takes place, that is ampullary isthmic junction. So this process here we call it as fertilization. So here what happens actually, the simultaneous release. When does the fertilization take place? When is the possibility? If both the egg and the sperm have been released at the same time, then only it will be the fertilization can take place. That is why, children, all copulations or mating or coitus do not lead to fertilization or pregnancy. So now next part, where the sperm has reached over there and the egg also reached at the same point. How does the fertilization, how do they fuse? Let us say, children, ovum, the egg is having a layer, outer membrane is called zona pellucida. So the sperms will reach and come in contact with the zona pellucida, and only one sperm can enter into inside, because once the sperm tries to enter or penetrate, then it will change. It comes in contact with the egg, it changes the membrane and blocks the entry of the more sperms into the egg. So how they will be changing is the chemical changes will take place in the membrane, which prevents the entry of more sperms. So only one sperm can penetrate into the egg because of the chemical changes took place in the zona pellucida membrane. That you have to remember. And now the sperm, how it could penetrate. You know, children, the structure of the sperm, the upper part, the front part is having an acrosome. The acrosome of the sperm, its secretions will help. It will produce some secretions which help the sperm to enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum. So actually, when this sperm reaches or enters the egg, then only actually we have learned about the oogenesis, children, the second meiotic division completes. In the secondary oocyte will form into egg and second polar body. So this egg nucleus will fuse with the nucleus of the sperm. So here the zygote will be formed after the fusion. We call this process as fertilization. And children, what is the ploidy of zygote? You know, the sperm is haploid and the ovum is also haploid. These two are fused, so the zygote which is formed is diploid. So this is about fertilization. Now when the zygote is formed, children, the next part is about sex determination. What is actually sex determination? The child who is going to born, or the embryo's sex will be fixed only while formation of the zygote itself. So you have learned in 10th class, children, the sex determination. If you remember, the male and females, or every human being is having 23 pairs of chromosomes, out of which 22 pairs are autosomes and one pair is sex chromosomes. So the sex chromosomes in males are XY, and the females, the sex chromosomes are named as XX. So whenever we are calling the XX, they are homogamous. Whenever they form gametes, they form as the same type of gametes carrying only X chromosomes. Whereas in a male, if you see, the chromosomes, the sex chromosomes are XY. So whenever they form the gametes, they will be heterogamous. So they form different types of gametes, one carrying the X chromosome, the other gamete will be carrying the Y chromosome. So children, here we are calling there a fusion of the gametes. So when the X chromosome, the female, fuses with the X chromosome of the male, then what will be the sex of the child? That will be female. If the X chromosome of the female fuses with the Y chromosome of the gamete carrying the Y chromosome, then it will be a male child. So this is what you have learned already about sex determination. So here we can understand one point, children. The sex of the child is determined only by the father, not by the mother. How you understood? Because the mother is forming only homogamous, similar type of gametes are formed because it's having only X chromosomes. Whereas the father will be producing the gametes and anisogametes or heterogametes. That is, one will be carrying the X chromosome and the other will be carrying the Y chromosome. That is why the father is actually responsible for the sex of the child, not the mother. So next part, children, already we have seen the zygote is formed in the ampullary isthmic junction. Now the zygote slowly will start moving towards the uterus. While undergoing, by this movement, while moving like this, it will be undergoing mitotic divisions. The mitotic division that takes place in the zygote is called cleavage. So when the mitotic division is taking place, first 2 cells, then 4 cells, then 8 cells, it will be doubling. So double the number, the daughter cells will be formed. The daughter cells which are formed by the divisions are called blastomeres. So when it forms 8 to 16 blastomeres, it is known as morula. And next it will be forming a blastocyst. So in blastocyst, next above 16 to 32, it will be forming the blastocyst, and the blastomeres in the blastocyst are arranged outer one layer. They form as some cells will be forming an outer layer. Children, it is called trophoblast. And the inner cells will be forming as inner cell mass. So what is the use of the trophoblast? Why they are forming as a membrane? This trophoblast is the one which helps the blastocyst to get attached to the endometrium of the uterus. So now slowly the 2 cells, 4 cells, 8 cells, like that, the zygote will be dividing, and the dividing cells will be, the embryo will be moving down towards the uterus. So at what stage it will get attached, children? You should remember that is in the blastocyst stage. It gets attached to the endometrium. And now immediately when it is attached to the endometrium of the uterus will divide and form some cells which will cover the blastocyst, because it is a kind of protection. It will be protecting the blastocyst, where the further development of the embryo will continue. So this process of fixing or embedding of the blastocyst in the uterus, we call it as implantation. So after fertilization, the next step is the cleavage. The division will be taking place in the zygote, and then it will reach the stage called blastocyst, where which stage it is attached or implanted or fixed in the endometrium of the uterus. And then once it is attached, now the embryo further development will take place in this blastocyst. So after implantation, what happens? The trophoblast, the outer membrane, children, the blastocyst so it will develop some projections, like you have seen in the oviduct, the fimbriae, like it will be developing some finger-like projections. The trophoblast develops a finger-like projections. They are called as chorionic villi. Chorionic villi. So this chorionic villi, along with the surrounding uterine tissue, uterus tissue is already there around it. So these two together will form a special structure required for the development of embryo. Children, it is called as placenta. You all have learnt about this in 10th class, placenta. So what are the tissues that are contributing in the formation of placenta? Uterine tissue and chorionic villi. So this placenta is connected to the embryo through another thread-like structure which is known as umbilical cord. The connection between the placenta and the embryo is called the umbilical cord. So what are the functions of placenta? The first thing is, the developing embryo requires oxygen, and it also requires nutrients. So the placenta, through the placenta, the supply of oxygen and nutrients will take place, will reach to the embryo. And the second is, once the oxygen is going, that means the respiration will be done in the embryo. So carbon dioxide will be formed. At the same time, the excretory waste, the unwanted waste formed along with the carbon dioxide will be removed again through the placenta. So these are the functions of the placenta. Then next children, placenta is also acting. It also acts like endocrine tissue. What is the function of the endocrine tissue? You know that they produce or secrete hormones. So the different hormones will be secreted during pregnancy by the placenta. One is human chorionic gonadotropin, that is HCG. Then HPL, human placental lactogen. Another estrogen and progesterone. So these are the hormones, special hormones released by the placenta during pregnancy. Human chorionic gonadotropin and human placental lactogen, estrogen and progesterone. These are all you have learnt even in 11th class about endocrine system, children. So as the pregnancy proceeds, then ovary also will secrete a new hormone that is called relaxin. So these are all the hormones which are produced during pregnancy. And other hormones normally which are produced in the body of the female, like estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine. All these hormones also, children, will increase in the mother's blood. Their levels will increase. The other hormones, what are the other hormones? Along with this, estrogen, progesterone, cortisol, prolactin, thyroxine. And why these hormones increase? Because they are essential for, number one, fetal growth, metabolic changes in the mother, and maintenance of pregnancy. These hormones, if they are not produced in a proper balance, there won't be, the pregnancy may not be continued, or the mother may not be able to bear, or the fetal growth may get affected. So this is all about the hormones during pregnancy. Then after implantation, what changes that take place in the blastocyst? Already you have seen the blastocyst is having an outer membrane, children, that is trophoblast, and the inner cell mass which is developing into, do you remember a triploblastic? We are triploblastic because we have 3 germ layers. The 3 germ layers will be formed from the inner cell mass, contains the specialized tissues, children. They are called stem cells. And these stem cells are capable of all tissues and organs. So inner cell mass will be developing ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. And stem cells which are there in the blastocyst, they are having the potency to produce all tissues and organs. Next, the pregnancy, the development of the embryo starting from implantation, it will be taking children 1 to 9 months. So 9 months of pregnancy. So what happens? What are the changes that take place in the 9 months of pregnancy? Very important. After 1 month, heart will be developed. The first month, the completion, the heart will develop. End of 2 months, it will be the limbs and digits will be developed. End of 12 weeks, which is called first trimester, children. It is, that means completion of 3 months, the major organ systems, limbs, external genital organs will be formed. In the 5th month, end of 5th month, they can observe the first movement of the baby and the development of hair on the head. The next 24 weeks, the second trimester, that is 6 months completion, the body will be covered by fine hair, eyelids will be formed and separate, eyelashes will be formed, and the end of the 9 months, the embryo, the young one, will be fully developed and will be ready for delivery. So, this is about the embryonic development. So, I hope you understood, children, about this fertilization, implantation, and development. Next class we will discuss about the next part, that is parturition. Okay.